What's up guys, Jeremy Scott here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss willpower. I know we hear it all the time. You got to have more willpower. You got to have more willpower. If you want to do this, you got to have willpower. You got to apply that willpower. If you want to get results, if you want to work harder, whatever it is, you got to put in more work. It requires more willpower. So today we're going to discuss, I want to go over some studies that were done so we can dive a little bit more and get a better understanding of what willpower actually is. But before we begin, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button down below. There's some studies that were done by some researchers on some college students. Okay, the study was done using some radishes, some chocolate, and some fresh baked ooey gooey yummy chocolate chip cookies. You ever had a fresh baked chocolate chip cookies? They're so amazing. I'm salivating right now as we're speaking about it. I've had some. It smells, the aromas smell up the room. It smells so good. You dip it in some milk. Okay, but if you want to resist something like that, you're in a room, smells like cookies, and they're warm and they're fresh baked, fresh out of the oven, and you got to resist it. And you're on a healthy, clean eating plan, but you're resisting the fresh baked chocolate chip cookies. That requires willpower, all right? You're resisting the urge to give in to your desires and your temptations. That's requiring willpower. That's what you're using. What actually is willpower and how does it work? So they did some studies on it. These researchers, they used some radishes, okay? They took a group of hungry college students who are already hungry because they'd been fasting. So imagine you're fasting, you're already hungry. All right, you're in a room stuffed with the aroma of fresh baked chocolate chip cookies, and you got to resist the urge and the temptation to give in to eating these chocolate chip cookies. That's one of my favorite foods. Fresh baked chocolate chip cookies straight out of the oven. College students sat down at a table. So picture a table with a few different options to choose from. So on the table is a bowl of radishes. I don't know if you ever had radishes before, but they're bitter and they're sour. Taste like dish soap or something. Sitting at a table with a few different options to choose from. Warm cookies, chocolate, and a bowl of radishes. Some students were invited to eat the cookies and the candy. Some of the students were assigned to the bowl of radishes. So they put the students into different groups. You get the radishes, you get the chocolates, and you guys get the candies, the chocolate chip cookies. So the researchers left the students alone. So they put them at the table, they left them alone with the radishes and the cookies and the chocolates and observed them through a small hidden window. So like peeking through a little window, watching to see what they're going to do. The ones who were assigned the radishes clearly struggled with the temptation. Okay, so they said, you can only eat the radishes. I don't want these radishes. I'm staring at these cookies. These cookies are making me salivate. So some of them stared and drooled at the cookies before settling down to bite into a bitter radish because that's what they were assigned to. That's all they could eat was the radishes. Some of them picked up a cookie and they smelled it and stared at it. So they looked at the cookie, they wanted it, they smelled it, but they're still using that willpower to not actually eat the cookie. Some of them dropped a piece of cookie onto the floor and picked it up and put it back, but nobody actually bit into the forbidden food. The ones that were assigned the radishes. They did not eat it, so they used willpower to resist eating the cookie. After this, the students were taken into another room and given some geometry puzzles to work on. So they had to sit at the table and resist the temptation to eat these cookies. After, they were taken into a room and they had to solve these difficult geometry puzzles. These geometry puzzles were so hard. They were harder than you can imagine. You know why? Because they were insoluble. Okay, you could not solve these puzzles. It was impossible to solve them, but this was done purposely. The test was to see how long they would work on solving these puzzles before giving up and quitting and saying, that's it, I give up, can't do it no more. It's taking too much strain on my brain, too much brain power. The students who were allowed to eat the cookies and candy, they worked on the puzzles for about 20 minutes. As did a control group of students who were also hungry but had not been offered food of any kind. So there was also a control group. Okay, they did the same type of study on them. except they did not get offered any food, no radishes, no cookies. They just were hungry, and they just put them to work on these geometry puzzles. They also worked on the puzzles for about 20 minutes before giving up and realizing that they could not solve this puzzle. The students who were tempted with the radishes, so they said, you can eat the radishes, cannot have the cookies. Okay, they only worked on the puzzle for about 8 minutes. They successfully resisted the candy and cookies, but gave up on the geometry puzzles in 8 minutes. Okay, they resisted. They used up willpower by resisting the candy and cookies. So by using up that willpower and then going to work on the geometry puzzles, they just didn't have it left in them. They couldn't do it. So you only have so much willpower. You can only use so much. It's like a battery. Different things that you do throughout the day, it drains that battery and you start to give up. That's why when you come home after a long, stressful day at work, you just start snacking and you blow your diet at the end of the day after eating good all day, because you don't have as much willpower at the end of the day. You have drained your battery. After resisting the temptation of the cookies, they were left with less energy to tackle the puzzles. Unlike the other students, they kept going at it for a good 20 minutes. As we can tell from this experiment, willpower looks like much more than a metaphor. It seems like a muscle that can be fatigued through use. So if I do shoulder presses, okay, there's only so much I can do, and I'm gonna get fatigued and then I can't do anymore and I can't lift it anymore. I'm doing bicep curls. Okay, willpower is a muscle also, just like my biceps are a muscle. There's only so much they can do until it runs out of gas. So it's much more than a metaphor, right? It's very important to understand and to know that willpower is a muscle. So what do we get from this? You got to organize your day wisely. Use willpower on the most important things that are most important for you to get done in the beginning of the day when you have the most willpower. Try to organize your day in that matter. So try to get the most important things done earlier in the day, because at the end of the day you just don't have as much willpower. You're using willpower all throughout your day when you're making decisions, when you're making choices. Somebody cut you off on the road and you're trying to stay calm. Hopefully you're not road raging on people, getting upset. Sometimes we do, sometimes we lose it. Maybe at the end of the day, when somebody cuts you off, you have less willpower. You get upset a little bit easier. You've been using willpower all day, dealing with employees, dealing with your annoying boss, and then you come home at the end of the day and you snap at your boyfriend or girlfriend, or you snap at your spouse. Something they say just pisses you off. They make a sarcastic comment and you just have no patience for it. You just go off. Your patience is thin. Like I said, willpower is a muscle. So if you want to get more endurance, if you want to get more strength in that muscle, there's things that you can do like breathing practices, yoga, cold showers, meditation. Okay, it all comes from the same battery. Okay, it is a muscle. You can build endurance in it. So next time you need to resist chocolate or resist candy or resist bad foods in your diet and you find yourself cranky or in a bad mood, it's because you've used up willpower and you don't have as much energy left to control your emotions, maybe. Okay, you don't have as much self-control because your willpower battery is drained. Each day you drain the battery. You start the day with a full battery, and as the day goes on, you drain the battery. If this video was helpful, if you liked it, please leave your comments in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button down below. Jeremy the Machine Scott out.